Podcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining our December release webinar. First of all, can everyone confirm they can hear me by selecting the option on the screen? Great. So hi everyone, my name is Justin Press and I'm the Global Services Manager here at Brightpearl, and I work with the teams who get customers live and then continue to support your business and its use of Brightpearl. Now today is our December release webinar. Now we're aiming to keep this presentation to around 20 minutes. I'm sure you're all really busy at this time of year and you need to get back to your business, so we'll keep it to the point. Now, as you know, Brightpearl is a cloud solution and the product continues to evolve to meet your business needs, which brings us here today to demonstrate and discuss new features. Today, I'm going to be covering, first of all give a refresher on how our release cycle works. I'm going to talk about what releases we'll be making throughout the rest of the year. I'll also briefly chat about what we're working on right now in the product and engineering teams. Then I'm going to discuss what support cover you can expect over the holiday period. Then I'm going to get into the new features, the purpose of today's webinar. And to finish off, we'll have a question and answer session. So throughout this demo, you can post questions into the webinar dialog box. So please post them and we'll attempt to pick them all up at the end. So to start, I'd like to present how our release cycle works. We currently aim for 2 releases a month. Users can see their current version by looking at the URL in their web browser. If you look at yours today, it should say 457, which is our current version that went out last week. Now we notify our customer of new releases via Twitter, and you can see our Twitter IDs on the screen where such announcements are made, Brightpearl HQ and Brightpearl Help. We also let our customer know of our releases and we publish our release notes on our webpage. So every feature and fix is well documented on what has actually changed, and you can find these via brightpearl.com/releases. We also release our release notes to our community via the forums, and this can be found via the URL on the screen. And we continue to run this monthly webinar, which I'm hosting now, to talk you through all new features and fixes. Now, just to quickly cover our release cycle, there are 4 types of input into our product roadmap. First of all, our sales team. Our sales team tell our product team what our customers require so we can remain competitive in our industry and win new business. Then we have a professional services team. Now, our professional services team work very closely with a lot of businesses, so they're always telling the product team how Brightpearl should work. Then we have our support team. Now, our support team, they act as the voice of our customers and they tell the product team what we need to fix. And finally, and most importantly, our customers. We take feedback from you so we can grow and evolve our product to meet the needs of your growing and evolving businesses. Now, as many of you are aware, and as mentioned in last month's webinar, we are still working our way for an initiative called Focus on the Core. This simply means that sales don't get a say in our product roadmap, as we focus 100% of our attention on defects and areas of improvement for our existing customers. Now, Christmas releases. As we are now in the Christmas period, and for many of our customers, this is your peak season, we're going to relax our release cycle to ensure consistency in your business systems and no changes are made to Brightpearl. In other words, we're allowing our customers to roll up their sleeves and concentrate on business as usual. So, Last week's release was the final release of 2013, and our next release is January 2014. Right, so in that release, I'd like to tell you what we're working on right now. Now, our primary focus at this time is to drive down the number of defects in Brightpearl to make a really solid core product at the heart of your business. Now, you may ask how we actually classify a defect. There are two types of defects we focus on. First one is functionality not behaving as expected or designed. Now, some of you might hear this called as a bug. The second one we focus on is functionality that maybe not be fit for purpose. And this leads me to what focus on the core really is. The strongest message that came out of our focus on the core interviews with you, our customers, was Brightpearl is great, but too often defects get in the way. Therefore, we are also working on improvements to the key workflows that will allow you to spend more of your energy doing what you do best. We are going to ensure we support you in the future, and that means offering more stock to more customers through more sales channels, and as a result, giving you the ability to process more sales orders. Please note that our feedback forum is still open and active, where users can continue to create new ideas and vote on other users' ideas that you would like Brightpearl to see built in the product. This is available via brightpearl.feedback.com. Okay, just a quick note on our Christmas support cover. Phone support will be available on the days, but we will continue to work on the, sorry, let me say that again. Phone support will not be available on the days on the screen, but we will continue to work on tickets and ensure urgent issues are dealt with. As you can imagine, we do have staff who will be spending time with their own families over Christmas, so there may be minimal disruption to our response times. You can contact support via the following methods on the screen. And of course, do please take advantage of our fantastic knowledge base online, where we have guides on using all areas of Brightpearl, and that can be found via brightpearl.com/support. Okay, let's get into this release. In this webinar, we're going to walk you through functionality from our 4.57 release. We have two features we released this month, as our teams, as already mentioned, are focusing on defects only. Both are beta features. Now, a beta feature is a piece of functionality that exists in the application, but has not been enabled to the general public. If you want such features turned on in your account, please contact design@brightpearl.com, who will ensure they are enabled. The people at the end of this email address also would love to hear your feedback on such features before they complete them and move them into general release. So the first feature I'd like to talk about is the beta feature un-invoicing. Now, as discussed last week for release 455, we introduced an un-invoicing beta for US customers. We have now extended the beta to include the UK customers. Now, previously, it was not possible to make any changes to an invoiced sales or purchase order. Therefore, a sales or purchase credit would need to be created to reverse the original transaction, then a new order created for re-invoicing. Now, Brightpearl users who process a high number of orders on a daily basis find difficulties with this process and the extra work it creates when they only needed to make a small change, such as correcting a tax code or perhaps changing a price. The un-invoice feature allows invoice sales or purchase order to be reopened for editing by the user. Subsequently, this obviously removes the need to create a credit, match it to the sales order, and then create a new sales order for invoicing. So quite a lot of efficiencies have been brought there. It's important to note that the un-invoicing feature is restricted to users who have the permission to both edit a sales order and create accounting corrections. So I'd like to show you this feature. So first of all, I'm going to go into Brightpearl here, go into my recent sales, and I'm just going to find an invoiced sales order. So let's pick 211. So we can see that this order has been invoiced. We have an invoice number at the top. It's got a status of completed in this particular account. And the sales order line is locked for editing. I can't change the price. I can't change the tax code or the quantity. So what I'm going to do is click on the Uninvoice button. Now this will open up a modal where the user can capture the reason that they are changing or uninvoicing the order. So I'm going to just make a note here of wrong price. Now before I post, there is some further controls around this functionality. First of all, you can't un-invoice a sales order and therefore remove an invoice which has already been paid and matched to a bank transaction. You can't un-invoice a sales order if the date falls within a closed accounting period and therefore you might have produced your management reports on profitability for that period. And of course, you can't un-invoice a sales order if that date falls within a closed VAT period. So you've submitted to HMRC your tax liability. Okay, so just to finish off this demonstration of this order, I'm going to click un-invoice. Now you can see at the top, the sales order journal number has disappeared. The status has changed, and importantly, the lines have opened back up so I can change my price. So I'm going to just put the correct price here, £37.99. I'm going to save my order, and then I'm going to invoice it. And of course, I can then email that invoice or print it out and send it to my customer. Now, any corrections that are made you can find in the corrections report. So if I just go to reports and corrections, let's go to this new tab, we can see this I've done a couple of times today, a journal entry for order number 211, the user that made that correction and the reason that correction was made. So what that actually does is simply cancel the underlying journal. And that's our un-invoicing feature. The next feature I'd like to talk about is our returns process. Now this feature has been split into two parts. Last month I demonstrated the first part, which was improvements to cloning a sales order to a credit and the ability to clone individual lines from within that sales order. As promised, we have now released part 2, which is an improved process for receiving items on the sales credit. Now, when items are received on a sales credit, a pop-up window provides now an option to bypass the standard quarantine process and then automatically complete the return of items to the on-hand inventory or even just write them off as perhaps damaged goods. Items can still be placed in quarantine for circumstances where the items require inspection or a decision needs to be made whether it goes back into the standard stock. So to demonstrate this feature, and both parts of that feature, I'm going to go back into my sales order list. And I'm going to pick order 277. So I can see this order's been invoiced, the stock's been allocated, fulfilled, and that stock has been shipped. So perhaps my customer is ringing me up today to tell me that the product was damaged, I've sent the wrong item, maybe they want to swap it for another size. And traditionally, I would have to clone this entire sales order to a sales credit and then remove the lines that I didn't want to return. Now, so the first part of our improvement is the ability to select which item I want to return. So I've selected my item, the second line here. I'm going to clone this line to a sales credit. Great. So here's my sales credit. We can see SC, which denotes that I'm in a sales credit and not a sales order. And this isn't actual sales credit until we post the credit. But I can now receive inventory on my sales credit. So first of all, I'm going to save it. And then I'm going to click Receive Inventory. Now, traditionally, well, the way this used to work, this would put items back into the quarantine zone in the Brightpearl warehouse. Now, that meant the user would have to go into the quarantine section and either return it to the standard stock quantity, and then if it was faulty, write it off. They can bypass that straight away. So first of all, they can put that straight back into the available stock for sale and which warehouse you want to add it to. Or if the product was damaged, I can just literally write it off, which I'm going to here, and then click Receive All Inventory. So that will receive the stock back into Brightpearl and then literally write it off with a note of why it's been written off. And that is the end of the demo for improvements to the returns process. Now, as I said at the beginning, you can get in contact with our product team via design@brightpearl.com to have these features enabled and to give your feedback. We are still considering improvements in this area, as a lot of our customers have a high number of returned products. Okay, that brings me to the end of the demo. So I'm going to pause for a moment to post some question and answers. Okay, everyone, just to let you know, we haven't received any questions yet, so please take it away. This is your chance to get some live feedback. Great, so we're getting some questions through now. So first one of our customers has asked, what details do we need to send to design to get them to enable this feature? So if you could just send them your account ID in the email to design@brightpearl.com and put a subject of feature switch on which feature you'd like to see turned on, they'll enable that for you. Another question we have is the documentation for the demo you did up on the website? Great question. As we're building our product and testing it ready for release, in the background, our documentation manager is also updating the documents. So as the release goes out overnight, so does the documents. You can find these documents via brightpearl.com/support. And if you go into that web page, there's a number of subjects that you can navigate through to certain documentation, but there's a search feature. So if you put in un-invoicing, you'll get straight to that documentation. So just to confirm that email address one more time, and you can also request these features via support@brightpearl.com. But if you want to get enabled directly via a product team, it's design@brightpearl.com. And they'd love to hear your feedback on such features. Another question is going to come in. Can you un-invoice purchase orders? I'm glad to say, yes, you can. It's the same screen, well, very similar screen. Let me quickly show you. I'm just going to go to purchases, recent purchase orders. Here's a purchase order that's been invoiced because we have an invoice number. I'm going to click on this, and I have my un-invoice button. And that's a really handy one because we often make mistakes when our supplier or vendor has sent us an invoice and we put it in wrong. And we certainly don't want to have to raise a new purchase order because when we lose our connection from our invoice number to our purchase order number, so that could be commonly used. So another question we have, is the Brightpearl feature free for all accounts? Yes, this is the great part of using a cloud solution like Brightpearl. As our product evolves to meet your needs, the accounts are automatically upgraded free of charge. You get to make use of all these features. And of course, you get to contribute how our product is built by feeding into our feedback forum, which is feedback.brightpearl.com. So we have another question here. Are there any plans for customized reports? So this is a great question. Now, as we continue to evolve our product to meet the growing needs of businesses and also develop our product for you to grow, we are thinking about more reporting features. We're trying to figure out the best way to do this, and we'd love to hear your feedback on customized reports, what kind of stuff you're looking for. So if you could get in touch with us via design@brightpearl.com to start a conversation with our product team. So it's something we're thinking about at the moment and hope to be addressing soon. But just to be clear, at this time, our 100% focus is on defects, making sure our product is solid. So we've got a question here about, can we delete an invoice once we've invoiced it already? So you can uninvoice. So what that does, it doesn't delete it because Brightpearl is an accounting system underneath, so it needs to capture everything in an audit trail. So it's the same principle. What we're doing is cancelling the actual journal. So even if you've emailed and sent that invoice, you can actually uninvoice it, but that is captured via the corrections report to provide an audit trail. So another question we have is around, can you tell us about the features or bug fixes coming soon? What I can say is obviously we are focused on bug fixing and we prioritize our bugs on how we see them affecting businesses the most. So if there is a workaround and it's not stopping revenue to your business or functionality in terms of processing and workflow, we may not class that as a high priority bug. So we will prioritize it below major issues, which is stopping you working efficiently. So somebody's asked, how long will it take to enable the features once you've asked design? Well, it should be done within 24 hours. Obviously, we have customers across most time zones across the world, so we'll say 24 hours to allow somebody in that team to pick it up. So, got another question here. Do you have plans to improve your servers that Brightpearl will be smoother, especially as we believe January is going to be our busiest period? This is a continuous project for Brightpearl. We actually have a whole team dedicated to the hosting of the Brightpearl application, which is a little separate from our engineers and product managers who actually build the product. So this team is dedicated to making sure that our services and the service that hosts Brightpearl, first of all, remains 100% available. And we are enjoying a lot of success in that area. Second to that, that the performance is of a suitable standard, and this is a continuous project. This will never stop. We are looking to make sure that these services are always available and available for sufficient use. Okay, so we've run out of time on our allocated slot. Any of you which registered an email address when you signed up for this webinar means we'll be able to get a log of all your questions and we'll take them offline and answer them individually. Thanks very much for joining our webinar today.